Welcome to another episode of Alumni Talk, brought to you by the Alumni Basketball League. Ready to bring you some games in 2023. We just announced we're announcing our first game soon between Kansas and Kansas State, potentially for June 10th, 2023. So that's exciting. We'll be announcing about 7 more soon. Please follow our website, www.ablballing.com, at ablballing on Instagram, and at the ABL USA on Twitter. This podcast will be broadcast on YouTube as well as Apple Podcasts. I have a guest today, Mr. Eric Atkins out of Baltimore, a legendary player from that area. He's been in the college coaching game for a while, to being a player. So just to get started, talk about what kind of got you started playing basketball at a young age and what got you involved in the game.
Yeah, man. I got started when I moved to Maryland. I was born in Connecticut. Moved here when I was about 7 or 8, and then my dad just threw me into playing in Baltimore in a league. And honestly, I just fell in love with the competitiveness from the jump. Made some really good friends, and then it just took off from there. But it was really just growing up in. I grew up in Columbia, Maryland, but my dad moved me right out of there. He said, now we got to find some better bump for you. Went down to Baltimore, and then the rest was history from there.
So who's like some of the guys you played with at that young age?
Yeah, man, a really good group. I had a really good group of guys. CJ Fair was on my team. CJ Fair, Roscoe Smith, Wayne Sparrow, Davon
Wayne
Usher.
Sparrow played at
He went to UMBC.
Yep.
St. Francis, UMBC. That's like my 9 and under team. We had a really good group. Antonio Barton. It was a really good group of guys that I had a chance to play with, and then ever since then, had that bond, and it's been a good road.
So then you went on to play. Who did you play AAU for?
Yeah, so I started off playing with Baltimore Stars at a young age. Then I transitioned over to Maryland Select. That's for like 2 years, and that was coached by Todd Bozeman. And then I had his son on the team. Had a lot of good dudes, and I was there for like 2 years before we all kind of went our different ways. But a lot of us went on to DC Assault, and I joined DC Assault probably 13 or 14, and I finished up my AAU career with them.
And you played with Quinn Cook, right? And
yeah, Quinn was a year younger.
Okay.
But Quinn played a bunch up with us. So my team had Tyler Thornton, Cedric Lindsay, Maxie Esho, Josh Hairston, Damian Lee played on our team as well. So we didn't lose a lot.
I can tell, man. That's a lot. That's a lot of talent on one team and travel the country. So, what was your experience like? Because a lot of times people don't understand it's not from this area. The DC and Baltimore are actually two separate areas, two separate cultures. Like, unless it's a situation like you just was in, we don't interact a whole lot like people think. So, like, what was it like, bringing your game from Baltimore down to play with some of the guys? And you hear about the DC, the level of competition in DC. What was it like bringing your game down here to play with those guys?
Yeah, it was different. It was definitely different. The talent was the same, but just like the style of play was a little different. The lingo was different.
Definitely lingo.
Music was different in the car, so just kind of just understanding their backgrounds and everything like that, and who they are. That was the fun part for me, honestly. But the level of play and the talent was basically the same, though.
I mean, man, because those guys speak so highly of you. Like when I talk to Quinn, when I talk to Mo Creek and those guys, they're like, man, you were really like different. So then I know you went to St. Francis. So I mean, what was your recruitment like looking at high school? I know a bunch of high schools wanted you. What made you decide on? I'm sorry, not Mount St. Joe. What made you decide on Mount St. Joe in terms of attending there?
Yeah, so my brother went to Mount St. Joe. He went to Mount St. Joe 7 years. He's 7 years older than me. So after I watched him go there, he only went there for a little bit. He had ran into some issues, and I actually just wanted to go there just to kind of like make the Atkins name good again up there. To be honest with you, and I had that opportunity, but it was between St. Joe, Gonzaga, and Good Counsel at the time. And honestly, St. Joe just won out just because that's kind of just where I wanted to be
So
at.
if you had chosen Good Counsel or Gonzaga, would you have had to drive that far, or you would have just stayed somewhere? 'Cause I mean, that's a way different from.
Yeah, so I mean, living in Columbia at the time, I would have hopped on the metro, the one not too far from me, um, in Laurel, I believe. I would have got on there and then just made my way up to DC, but um, it would have definitely been a different trip every single day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, even me driving from where I live to downtown is annoying. So I know you, but people don't understand that's a sacrifice when you love the game, right? So I
For
mean,
sure.
you get to Mount St. Joe's, and I mean, you got there around 2007, six.
Yep, 2006 was my first year.
So you placed my buddy Brian Johnson. I mean, I know that was some big shoes to fill. Um, so just talk about like your teammates at Mount St. Joe's. What were you able to accomplish there?
Yeah, man, I had great times at St. Joe. Um, Coming in after the year that they went 38-1, they had an amazing year. Um, was difficult. Had big shoes to fill, like you said. Brian Johnson was just there. Chase Adams, uh, Dino Gregory. Dino Gregory was still on my team though. My freshman year, Henry Sims. So we had a really good, still a very talented group. Um, and I honestly loved my time playing there. Actually, talk about this. Damian was a freshman. Damian Lee was a freshman with me at the same time. He played freshman, and it's just crazy how things can go. But I had some again, like I said, really good teammates, really good competition all throughout my time at St. Joe in the BCO. And honestly, just loved my time. But Henry Sims was, somebody who I got a chance to play with for a long time, for 2 years. But having a big with that type of talent was a joy.
And Henry Sims, the ABL alum, he played with Georgetown in our first game, so it was great to have him. Got to get him back for when Georgetown played Syracuse. So, what were some of the awards that you won in terms of while you were at Mount St. Joe's?
Yeah, man. Man. Again, like the rivalries there um, were against like Cardinal Gibbons, St. Francis, Towson Catholic. Playing against the Malcolm Delaney's of the world. I played against my first big game. We did win the game. It was on ESPN, or one of those ESPNs at the time. It was against Chris Wright, St. John's, and that was he had 40 something on ESPN. That was the first time I ever was on ESPN, and ran to Chris's senior year. That was a that was a rude awakening for me. But there's a lot of good guys I played against during that time period that made my high school career really fun.
Yeah, I mean, so you were in the, and if I remember, you were in the McDonald's All American conversation, right?
Yeah, I was in it, but I
Yeah,
didn't make it.
it's so political, man. Like when you look at like with the Bronny James type thing, like people don't realize like the kid earned it, but like how they figure out who goes what, like it's a lot to go with that, and normally has nothing to do with who's nominated. But it's politics. It's politics. Um, you just your college recruitment comes up. So
Hmm.
who were your top five, and what was your thought process you went through, and what were you looking for in the school?
Yeah, I mean, my thought process was trying to find a school that I was going to play. I was going to play right away, and had a great opportunity for me to play right away. Um, so I was just looking at schools, honestly, doing my real research, going down their roster, looking at what years was the point guard in front of me, how many years they had left, shooting guard, who was coming in, trying to do my full research on every single school. Now my top five at the time was obviously Notre Dame was in there, UVA, Virginia Tech, UMass, Vanderbilt.
No Maryland or Georgetown loving there?
No Maryland and Georgetown. I have a funny story about the Maryland. We can get to that one. But Georgetown already had Markel.
Markel, yeah, Markel Stark there.
That was basically it for that. And shoot, he was a
So what
he
happened
was
with
great.
Marlon, man? We can't pass that up. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So my big brother's Nolan Smith, and
Hmm.
when I don't know if you remember the game, he kind of got knocked out one game at Maryland.
I didn't know that.
I think it was Neil. I'm going blank on his first name.
Dave Neal,
Big Dave
that's my
Neil. He
guy.
caught him on a back
That's what
screen.
he do. That's what he do for a living.
Yep. So Nolan picked up full court, hit him on the back screen. I think kind of knocked Nolan out. And I was at this game. I was in Maryland's section. Um, Maryland's like they invited me to the game. I wasn't saying anything when it happened, but the fans kind of like started to like cheer about Nolan kind of being out. He was a hometown kid, and they were on him all game, just how Maryland fans should be. But I felt like the cheering kind of took it overboard, and then since after that, when he went out the game, I basically just started cheering for Duke in the Maryland section, and then after that, I remember Dino called me like, "Yo, man, I'm hearing that he was cheering for Duke on our tickets," and that was the last I heard from him.
Yeah, that's a crazy story, man. But people don't really think about like the effect that fans have on like things like that, how they treat you. Because if you notice, like you look on Twitter, you see a lot of times players will lash out at fans. People are like, why are they doing it? Because the person can only take so much, right? Like a person can only take but so much of, um, like being, like think because you're the one that's going to be on the court, and you remember those same people, right? And so,
For sure.
so you, how did you come to, in terms of Notre Dame? We know, you had a chance to play right away. Like, what was it about that roster that you liked, and your relationship with Mike Bray?
Yeah, man, it was Coach Bray. He talked to me. I mean, he's he's a Maryland guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we spoke the same lingo. He did a good job of just. I'm watching his point guard play from years previous, and they all had a major impact from day one. And I watched that. I did my research on it, and I just looked at it and I said, man, I'm going to have to beat out. Actually, at the time, it was no point guard on the roster when I was coming in. They did have Ben Hansborough, but at the time he wasn't playing point guard. So I just saw a huge opportunity for myself to come in and contribute right away. And on top of it, having a great education, that kind of trumped it, especially for my mom. But at the time, I'm just thinking about hoops at the time.
So Jarian wasn't there yet, was he?
He came in with me.
He
Jan
came
came in with me.
with you. Okay. So you were with the team that won the ACC.
No, so Jan was redshirted his first year.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we came in together, and because of Ben Hansborough, to be honest, he redshirted. Because Coach Bray just doesn't take out his guards. So if you ever do go to Notre Dame, if you did go to Notre Dame, you just play the whole time if you're one of the guards there. So once Ben was in front of him, he didn't play. He had the great opportunity to redshirt and just get better, lift and get better. So class-wise, it put him a year behind me, and I did miss out on the ACC championship.
That's okay. That's all right. But you were all ACC third team while you were there. That was your senior year. So what was your
Mm-hmm.
matchups like in the ACC and night in and night out? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, man. Whew, man, my senior year, I'm trying to think about those guys that I was playing against. It's funny. I remember the other year. I remember my whole career more than just like senior year, but just I would say it's guys from. And I know it's just not ACC, but we did play Maryland. We played like Nick Fouts. We played Seth Allen.
Mm-hmm.
That was still when they were still in the ACC. I had that 1 year, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, when they were still there. But I remember playing against UConn from Kemba to Shabazz Napier, Louisville with Peyton Siva, Russ Smith, Pittsburgh with Ashton Gibbs and Trey Woodall, Georgetown, Markel,
Mm-hmm.
Jason Clark. So, I mean, I kind of went through a little bit of everything, from the Big East side of it, ACC side of it, Carolina guards, Duke guards. I get to play against Quinn and Tyler. Man, those were great matchups, though.
I don't get no higher level of basketball than that. So your senior year, you're all ACC. What are your thoughts in terms of like what were you thinking in terms of your professional career? What path you felt you were down?
Yeah. After my senior year, I knew I wanted to play pro ball. I worked at it, my whole life. And then so I had the opportunity to go overseas, and I went to Greece. I played in Greece in the first league in Greece. Honestly, had a great year, great experience. To experience a different culture, played at a high level, played against guys I got to, won. You playing against a lot of Americans as well, and played against different guys, different countries. Realized these dudes is nice out here. So it was a great experience in Greece. My second year started out in Hungary for the start of the year. Then I finished up in the G League in Erie with the Erie Bayhawks, and man, it's two different types of basketball, but at the same time, high level basketball everywhere you go, especially when you're a pro. And I think any pro will tell you that kind of gets on here. Being a pro, a pro is a pro.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day. And these dudes know how to hoop. They know what they're doing. You're gonna get the best every single night. These dudes trying to put food on their family's plate. So it's serious no matter where you're at.
So, you decided to start coaching very young. What opportunities you have, and what made you decide to do that?
Man, I always knew I wanted to get into coaching. Always. Ever since I was young, I've had some influential coaches in my life that I learned a lot from Todd Bozeman, Pat Clatchy at my high school, Zach Suber, my AAU coach. And I loved kind of just watching what they do and what they did with me. So kind of even when I was finishing up my senior year in college, I spoke to Coach Bray about, hey, I want to coach. And we had those conversations during the year, after the year. So when I was done, after my second year playing, they had an opening on their staff. A couple guys moved on, went to Delaware, and a couple guys just moved on and went to different places. And they had an opening on their staff to be a video coordinator, and I jumped on it right away. It was a no-brainer for me. Getting to start my coaching career back at my alma mater was a great opportunity.
No doubt. So, you've been at Howard, you've been at GW, and I think you're coaching high school now. Are you?
I'm coaching in the G League right now.
In the G League. I'm sorry. I mean, what's been the common denominator of that experience?
Man, the common denominator, I would say, putting the ball in the hoop wins you games. But seriously though, man, it's the coaching of the basketball part is basically the same at every level. It's all the kind of intangibles that makes it different. But basketball is basketball. Now, everything else that comes with it changes at each level.
So, I got two last questions for you. Number one, at Notre Dame, who's you guys' rival? Because I know one thing about Notre Dame is the football team prides itself on being independent. I know you've been in the Big East, the ACC. Who in basketball? Who is your rival?
That's a great question. I don't know. I would say it became, and I know they wouldn't say this, but it became Louisville because all of our games went to overtime. Every single game we had a 5 overtime game with them. Right after the 5 overtime game, we had a 3 overtime, 2 overtime. Like that became a rivalry during our time
while there.
So I don't know if we would have like one team that's just like a flat out rival with us, but it became a rivalry.
So this question is going to get you in a little trouble at home, but I got to ask you this. So if you had to play against 5 of BC's best, right? Who are the 4 from Baltimore you're taking? If you're the point guard, we know that. You got to take 4 from Baltimore. Now, your buddies are going to hear this, right? And I do this. Everybody come on the show. I put you in a tight spot. So who are 4 guys from Baltimore you're taking with you to play 5 guys in DC?
Oh, man. What era is this?
You can pick any 4 you want from any era.
Okay. All right. Bet. So I'm gonna have Carmelo on the team. We'll go with Carmelo. I'm gonna have Will Barton on the team. This is a tough
I
question.
do it every time. I gotta put you in that space so the hometown can start texting you like, you didn't put me on the list.
Yeah. All right, so myself, Mello, Will Barton, um, you know, give me. I'm gonna have a 5 man, so give me Henry, um, give me Henry. I just need one more. Rudy Gay,
I was about
Rudy
to
Gay,
say, if you left him off, he's gonna have some things. He's gonna have some
Rudy
things to
Gay.
say. Man, I appreciate having you, man. It was great talking with you. Please let us know real quick before we go what some things you got going on right now that you may need some support and everything from.
Yeah, man. I got my personal brand, Daily Deposit Crew. I have it on right now. Me, myself, Damian Lee. We created this. It's all about just investing in your craft each and every single day. We just started this summer. It's been going great for us, and we got a lot of great new things on the way.
It's good stuff, man. Definitely just send us some of your promo stuff so we can get it out there for you, man. Appreciate having you, man. Thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of Alumni Talk. Again, look forward for our games. ABLballing.com, the website, at ABLballing on Instagram, and at ABLUSA on Twitter. Check out this interview on YouTube and also Apple Podcasts. We are out. Thanks, everybody.